legislature to order, and I'd ask Bob Hines to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask you to stay standing for a moment of silence for our veterans. Thank you. Ask the clerk to call the roll.
Hartman.
Here.
Rose. Here. Schrader.
Here.
Manine. Here. Johnson.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Hyde.
Here.
Brzezinski.
Here.
Mano.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Bono.
Here.
Ackerman.
Here.
Peplinsky. Force.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Shaw.
Here.
Wheatley.
Here. Pursuant to Rule 8, are there any objections or corrections to the minutes of the October 3rd meeting? If there are none, I'll order them approved. Reading in full of claims disallowed by the auditor and presented for audit by the legislature. And there's nothing. We'll now dispense with the regular session to allow for presentation or proclamation of legislation. Oh, that's from last. No. Scratch that. We'll now have a comment period by our residents. I guess that you keep your comments to 5 minutes apiece with a total period of 30 minutes. And first, we have one person signed up, and it's John Burkholt of Herkimer, and he's from the Salvation Army. Would you like to come up?
Right here?
Put the podium if you wish, or wherever. That's fine.
Okay. I'm Captain John Aaron Burkout. I'm from the Salvation Army in Herkimer. I would like to invite everybody here on November 10th at Farm Humbles at 10 o'clock. We're doing a cattle kickoff. And I'd like to invite you guys to come out. We have out all Herkimer County. So if you want to come out, we'll appreciate it. I believe Channel 2 News and YNN will be down there. So it should be a fun 2 seconds, like 10 minutes, guarantee you. That's it, Saturday morning, fun times.
Very good, thank you.
Saturday, yeah.
We'll move on.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I believe we have some interns here.
Yes,
Would this be a good time to introduce them?
Yep. We can do that now, I guess. We have some interns here. Normally, which is a standard practice, we have the interns just rise, state their name, where they're from. And you want to start with this young lady right here?
Cassidy Vanis, Frankfurt.
Hey.
I'm Kayla Krill, I'm from Million. I'm Haley Siriani, I'm from Frankfurt.
I'm Scott Van Fan, I'm from Mohawk.
And I'm Wendy Richardson from Cornell Cooperative Extension.
I had a chance to meet with these students earlier, and great bunch. So. Volume's okay? You get feedback, Jim? Well, you get feedback there? I don't. All right, we'll move on. If you have a problem, let me know. Communications received by the legislature and committees to which they have been referred are listed on the agenda. Does any member of the legislature request mention of any particular communication? Mr. Brzezinski.
Mr. Chairman, could 339 and 357 be read, please?
339 and 357. Mr. Warren.
Is pursuant to local law 3 from 1990, adopting the Herkimer County ethics law, hereby nominate for appointment John J. Piesick Jr., 117 Second in Herkimer, to serve for a term to expire April 1, 2015. Respectfully, Patrick Russell, Majority Leader. What was the other one?
357.
Pursuant to local law 3 of 1990, adopting Herkimer County ethics law, hereby nominate for reappointment Mr. Donald Bronson, West Turner Street, Herkimer, New York, to serve for a 3-year term. Said term to expire on April 21st, 2014. Respectfully, John Brzezinski, Minority Leader.
Anyone else? Mr. Johnson.
343.
343.
This is a notice of claim from the Office of the County Attorney, and is the matter of Benjamin David Douglas.
Anyone else? Move on. Pursuant to Rule 6, number 8, reports of standing committees. I will ask if there are any committee chairmen who wish to make a report or remarks on the progress of any issue that comes under their committee. Are there any chairmen wishing to speak? Mrs. Manine.
Yes, I'd like to let everybody know that yesterday we had the Return to Favor program kickoff in Herkimer County. It gives discounts to our veterans. We had most of our committee, the Veterans Administration Committee, there to support them, support this program, and to let you know that special equipment was installed in the county clerk's office that makes the veteran ID cards to be shown to participating members. This program makes it so that military discharge documents are also kept in a secure place and bring discounts to the veterans. We also had a meeting last week in regards to the tapings of the meetings. We are now gathering some information on pricing, and when we get all that together, then we'll announce another meeting. Thank you.
Any other chair? No one else? Now continue with the consent agenda. I ask the clerk to read the title of each resolution on the consent agenda.
239 is Public Safety Emergency Management with the monthly report of the sheriff. 240 is the Ways and Means Committee transferring funds. 241 is Natural Resources setting a date for a hearing on the 8-year review of Ag District 6. 242 is Public Safety Emergency Management regarding membership in the Stop DWI Advisory Board. And 243 is Public Safety Emergency Management approving the 2013 Stop DWI plan.
May I have a motion on the consent agenda? Mr. Hendrick, second by Mr. Shaw, Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor? I'm sorry, Mr. Corse?
The Stop DWI program reflects an emphasis by the state to encourage counties to move away from ramifications of DWI cases and more toward trying to stem the DWI itself. Herkimer County, along with numerous other counties, were caught using it to fund probation, mental health, incarceration, and the funds are meant more for investigation and to try to arrest people on the front end. So this plan has been reworked from previous plans and reflects that emphasis more toward enforcement rather than covering the costs of the effect of DWI.
Any more debate? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 244, roll call.
The Ways and Means Committee relating to canceled taxes and rejected taxes.
This resolution approves the canceled taxes and rejected taxes as listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second.
Second motion,
Mr. Corse,
Chairman.
any debate? Mr. Harton.
Can somebody explain just exactly how these properties get here? Because I couldn't help but notice that like 21 of the 23,000 came from the village of Herkimer, well, another 600 from German Flats, where my other constituents live. And I'm not questioning the process. I guess I need to learn more about it. I know this one property is landlocked on Prescott Street, but there was a large amount of taxes owed there, $15,000. So it must be worth something, the property, and I guess I'd like to know how it ran up that high and how the process works.
This is your lucky night. Seeing how the students are here, we'll have Mr. Malone give a little lecture on how the NREM works and how the rejected taxes work.
This doesn't have anything to do with the NREM.
Well, I'm sorry. Rejected taxes.
I thought that's where we were going with that.
Mr. Walsh?
Yeah, I think, Mr. Harvard, on the one big piece of property on Mohawk Street, I think it's like 21,000 out of the 23,000. That was a piece of property that was owned by the county that was inadvertently taxed, so we're getting those taxes back. I think since then it's been purchased by a family from Frankfurt who's going to try to turn it into some kind of store or a deli, etc. So that was the biggest portion of that. That was erroneously taxed to the county of Herkimer. So after that, that's taken off the taxes. Now it's sold, it will go back on the taxes. but the county is not responsible to pay that 21,000 and change. I don't have the exact number, but it's something like that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I've done this a lot of times. This is an annual procedure that we do that corrects any bookkeeping errors that have transpired between an assessor's office and the tax collection. And it has to be dispersed back on tax levies in the future. So you have to come to a point where your rolls stand corrected before you can issue new tax rolls. And this is a bookkeeping clerical thing that someone may have paid the taxes under protest and found the assessor capable of correcting it, and the only way it can be corrected is to be distributed back on an ensuing tax levy. So that's why we deal with this resolution every year, and it's a bookkeeping clerical cleanup process is what it is.
Mr. Hart.
So that property on Mohawk Street, that was originally owned by the county, was it taken for taxes?
Taken through taxes.
So,
Sorry, is that okay?
No, that's fine.
in response to one of my inquiries, there was something said about the county owns it for 3 years before they pay back the taxes, or something like that. Is that right? I don't have it in front of me.
We cannot pay the taxes for 3 years. After 3 years, that's a different issue.
Mr. Hunt.
I think you'll find that Mr. Malone, we can thank Mr. Malone for this parcel because this particular piece of property, as I recall, had a federal lien on it. And I don't know all the particulars. Maybe Mr. Malone would like to explain what happened with this property and how we got it.
I'm really in the dark on this, I'm sorry. So maybe somebody else can explain. I don't know if these were talking.
It was a bankruptcy, wasn't it, or
Really?
something? You had a judge that
The
was out of
fellow was
state.
in Las Vegas court.
Oh, is this is?
This is the property.
Basil building?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Want to hear about what happened there?
Briefly.
We were on the verge of selling it several years ago. We had a bidder, went through the sale, and then there was a bankruptcy proceeding in Las Vegas that involved one of the banks that had a lien on the property, which anytime a bankruptcy proceeding is brought, it automatically stays any enforcement actions by any party. So it stopped our enforcement actions. We were then obligated to move forward in Nevada, state of Nevada, and retain counsel to do that. In order to get our lien released, it was an extremely lengthy process, and eventually we did do that, and got authority from the bankruptcy court to proceed with the sale of the premises. And then my memory stops. So I think we did find a buyer for it, but how this canceled tax figure relates to it all, I'd have to educate myself. I just don't know.
Well, thank you everyone for the education, and it's very nice to hear that it's going back on the tax rolls. That one would be nice. Thank you.
Any more debate? Clerk will call the roll.
Mano. Mano.
Oh, yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Bono.
Yes.
Ackerman.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Russell. Shaw.
Yes.
Weekley.
Yes.
Hartman.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Schrader.
Yes.
Manine.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Hyde.
Yes.
Krasinski.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Number 245.
Public Safety Emergency Management authorizing execution of alternatives to incarceration covenants.
This resolution authorizes the chairman to sign e-sign the annual contracts for the pretrial and community services program. I have a motion. Mr. Hendricks, second. Mr. Hyde, any debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. 246.
Human Resources, Ways and Means amending budget and authorizing contract for the receipt of grant funds from public health preparedness.
This resolution authorizes a contract with the State of New York for a public health emergency preparedness grant. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Hyde. And Mr. Weakley. Any debate? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Resolution passes. 247.
Public Safety Emergency Management, Ways and Means accepting grant and amending budget and Homeland Security funding.
This resolution accepts a grant for the Department of Homeland Security for a grant for a law enforcement terrorism prevention program. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Resolution passes. 248.
Human Resources, Ways and Means, authorizing renewal of contract for funding of childhood blood poisoning prevention.
This resolution authorizes the contract with the State of New York Health Department for receipt of funding to continue the childhood lead poisoning prevention program. May I have a motion? Mr. Smith, and second by Mrs. Manini and Mr. Shaw. Any debate? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 249.
Ways and Means, rescinding Resolution 230 and authorizing contract with real property tax.
This resolution rescinds Resolution Number 230 and authorizes the contract for the Assistance in Training Real Property Tax Services Department. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Weekly. Any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 250.
Human Resources, Ways and Means, authorizing contract for supervision and treatment services for juveniles.
This resolution authorizes a contract with Kids On Night in connection with the implementation of the Supervision and Treatment Services for Juveniles program. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendrick, second by Mr. Shaw and Mr. Smith. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Number 251.
Ways and Means, accepting proposal of D'Arcangelo and Company.
This resolution authorizes a contract with the Archangelo and Company to perform audits for the financial affairs of the county for the year 2013. I have a motion. Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 252.
Education, Ways and Means, properties, establishing renovation of Robert McLaughlin College Center.
This resolution establishes a capital project for the renovation of the Robert McLaughlin College Center cafeteria / alumni hall project. May I have a motion? Mr. Mayo, second by Mr. Schrader and Mr. Ackerman. Any debate? Mr. Hartman.
I'd just like to point out that 50% came from the state and 50% came from the Faculty Student Association. None of it's coming directly from the county taxpayer. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Any more debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any of those nay? Say nay. Resolution passes. 253.
Ways and Means, granting an additional leave of absence.
This resolution grants an additional 1 year leave of absence to the employee listed. May I have a motion? Mr. Weekly, second. By Mr. Russell. Any debate? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. 254.
Ways and Means, approving contract with Excellus Health Plan for administrative services.
This resolution authorizes a contract with Excellus Health Plan for administrative services for the county health insurance program. May I have a motion? Mr. Ackerman, second by Mr. Russell. Any debate? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, please say nay.
No.
1 no. Resolution passes. At this point, I'm going to ask Mr. Malone to give our traditional presentation to the students so they realize what we're doing here and how the process works. And, it's not just about voting here. Real quick, all the work is done in the committee level, and Mr. Malone is going to go through that for you. Thanks.
There's a committee system here at the county where all matters are referred to committee first, and various members of the legislature are members of various committees, so matters are screened before they come here. And in general, that's a requirement before a resolution reaches the floor, that a committee review it, and then it has to be voted out of committee in order to come to the floor. And then those resolutions are voted on by the entire legislature, and it's opened up for debate, and you'll hear different types of votes. Sometimes it's a voice vote, which you'll hear the chairman all in favor say aye, all opposed say nay. And other times there's a roll call vote where you'll see each legislator voting individually. And the reason for the difference is that some matters are considered to be of such importance to the taxpayers that it's mandated that there be a roll call vote, so that there's a permanent record of how each legislator votes on each resolution. And in addition, if any member of this legislature wants a roll call vote on anything, even if it isn't required, they can have that. You may see that tonight, you may see it some other night, where a legislator will ask for a roll call vote. In that event, the roll call vote is taken. So that's how that works. And it requires a majority of the voting power of the legislature to pass anything. It's not the majority of the people here, but 9 votes in order to pass anything. And then some matters require a supermajority, more than that. Nothing tonight, but that's another rule.
Any questions? Carry on. Number 255.
Ways and Means concerning stop loss coverage.
This resolution awards a contract with Excelis Health Plan Benefit. Did we do this? No. We did? Okay, we did do this.
No, we
Okay. This resolution awards a contract with Excelis Health Plan for health insurance stop loss coverage. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Hyde. Any debate? Mrs. Rose?
I know tonight there's at least 3 resolutions here that relate to the operation and management of the county health insurance plan. When these were presented at committee last Friday, I questioned if we were going to be looking at any other options in terms of the way we provide health care coverage to our employees and to our retirees. I have decided that I will vote no on anything relative to the health insurance plan in hopes that we can begin a dialogue about modifying the kind of plan that we're offering. As an example, our retiree plan for retired, elected, and appointed, and retiree plan for those employees who retired after many years of service. Those employees that would be on Medicare, the assigned premium cost for a Medicare-eligible employee and a spouse is around $11,000 a year. In addition to that, the employee would be paying their Medicare. And I have talked to many citizens in our community, many taxpayers in our community, the people that are going to be bearing the brunt of the budget that we're all working on Fridays. And most of those people, if they're fortunate enough to be able to afford Medigap insurance, are probably paying about $2,400 a year for the kind of plan. I mentioned last Friday that I know as a Medicare recipient, I am inundated every day with various flyers suggesting different plans and different coverages. But when you contrast what I believe to be an average in the area of about $2,400 a year for a 2-person family, a spouse, 2 spouses married, and then you have $11,000 what we're providing, and it's a lifetime. I know that there are people on this board that have spoken and spoke last Friday that for many of the elected and appointed, salaries have been contained, and therefore the health insurance is a benefit that's been promised long-standing. We've had legal opinion from the county attorney that there's an implied contract. There's been a suggestion that we would open ourselves up to lawsuits if we modified it. I think the time has come to modify it. I think the time has come to just test that, because I know that in our community it's happened. It's happened in municipalities, it's happened at the statewide level, it's happened across the state in various counties and local municipalities. We know that healthcare is rising. So when we talk about people settling for low wages or fixed wages, this legislative body, it's $6,500 a year and locked in, the health insurance is escalating. We know that it's a major cost to government. And to provide that unlimited lifetime benefit with, for many of the employees hired before April of '09 with no contribution at all is something I think that we can't afford to do. And I think that it's going to be very hard for this body to make a decision about it when you're the beneficiary of the benefit. But I'm hoping that within this room, there are people that will recognize that there've got to be compromises along the way. There's got to be changes to it, and hopefully we will begin to have an earnest conversation about it. Now, Mr. Chairman, you had challenged me to, well, come up with a plan. One of these resolutions, we've got consultants that are working on this stuff for us, but we haven't really, I don't know who's had the conversation with them. I would love to, but it's been discouraged that I should be able to talk to them and ask them any questions about it. But I'd like to understand what other options were even considered by them, what other cost-saving measures were discarded, what other options were more expensive than what we're offering. I understand that we're self-insured and we have all these various resolutions to manage the plan, but when we talk about the assigned premium, we've looked at budgets where there's health insurance expenses against a budget, there's no employees working there because the people have since retired. I think it has to change because we know the plight of the people in our community. I am not advocating that the rug be pulled out from under, but I think we need to make modifications, and I think that we are allowed to make those modifications within the existing plans that are offered. Maybe the union for for currently employed people, with the union, that requires negotiations, but I don't believe that's true with those that have retired, and I think that we need to be looking at it, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be asking questions. I'm going to do the best I can to try to get information, but I don't have the file. I don't have all of the information, and if I'm not allowed to talk to the person who's our consultant, that does kind of tie my hands behind my back. But I will try to do something on it, and I'm hoping that that we can have this conversation. I've had 5 years of it here, and there's been little change. We did affect a 5 or 10% adjustment in premium, but to guarantee, as an example, a legislator and their spouse lifetime benefits with 10 years of service, and the new people with 15 years of service at the age of 62 is, we're all living longer, I hope, and I hope you all live to be 95 or 100 in this room, but I don't think the taxpayers can continue to pay the health care. Thank you.
Any more debate?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Corrs.
I think as a budgetary item, we discovered that Friday our health insurance total cost is going up less than 2%, if I'm correct?
Correct.
And also, I appreciate the effort that was made to get insurance to us a little bit earlier than we've seen in other years for consideration for the budget. So for employees that were responsible for getting that information put together in a more timely fashion, I appreciate that.
Hey, anyone else? Sir?
I haven't looked into this as deeply as I wanted, and I intend to, and I think we do have to make some changes. One thing that just struck me, why isn't Mrs. Rose or any of us advised not to speak to a consultant?
Discouraged.
Discouraged.
I don't know what she's talking about. I never heard such a thing. And I think I saw other people shake their heads where you got that.
I was advised, I asked for the name of the consultant and the phone number, and Mr. Wallace discouraged it. He said he would discourage it. Maybe it would confuse the gentleman, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. You're not going to let any consultant, just one individual call a consultant. If it goes through the committee, that's a different.
Committee, Mr. Chairman, you said to me to try to do it, and I want to try, but the committee didn't seem to be interested in it.
Ask your question at the committee level. And we'll get it.
I did. That's at the committee level. You told me to go out and look it up, and I said we have a consultant.
I did.
You said come back with a proposal. You said to me at the
Well,
committee.
I'm sorry, I misunderstand. Yeah, in that regard.
Yeah. And to understand what I'm proposing against is to be able to talk to the consultant. We're paying lots of money.
We'll bring it up in committee. So we'll get you an answer.
Mr. Chairman, I just would point out, I did ask that the consultant be brought in to talk to the committee and get any information. I asked for that a month, 3 weeks ago.
Mr. Hart.
I think that'd be a great idea to bring him or her in. I don't make the rules, but, when I served before, I could talk to consultants, and that's what they're there for. 17 of us, I don't see why they couldn't answer specifically.
Anyone else? Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that we're in the middle of a budget process now. Mr. Wallace and I have talked about that. It's not a problem. But we do have to get through this budget right now. What is the mumbling for?
I was asking, what's not the problem? I misunderstood. Mr. Chairman.
Russell, are you done? Mrs. Rose, please.
When Mr. Russell indicated it's not a problem, I'm not sure what is not a problem.
Bringing in a consultant is not a problem to talk to. But we need to get the budget and that information to the legislators first. And then we can go on with other business.
Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, the information the consultant could have could possibly, with open minds, impact the budget process. That was what I asked for before the signed, sealed, and delivered on the rates. You're talking family coverage over $19,000 a year. So when Mr. Corrs indicates the 2%, sure 2%, but our healthcare costs have gone up major in 5 years. I know that they've been controlled, the premium assessment has been controlled, but the healthcare costs, no matter where we're talking, are up. So it would have been good to have that information and fully understand what was negotiated or what was settled on before you just bring out the figures. But I understand how the process works, I guess.
Well, if you understand how the process works, why do you have to keep repeating?
Is he talking to me, sir?
He's addressing me.
Why do you need to keep repeating it? Okay.
Excuse me?
He said why do you have to keep repeating it?
Yeah, I was talking to her.
He's making a statement. Let's move on.
But I understand.
Any more debate? All those in favor, aye? Any opposed?
No.
1 no. Moving on. 256.
Ways and Means concerning services on a health reimbursement account.
This resolution authorizes a contract with Benefit Resources to provide services for administration of a health reimbursement account plan. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Weekly. Any debate? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay.
No.
1 no. 257. Resolution passed.
Public Safety Emergency Management Ways and Means approving agreement for a correctional facility.
This resolution approves an agreement with Swanson Services Corporation to provide and install a cashier's kiosk at the correctional facility. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendricks, second by Mr. Hyde. Any debate? Mr. Hendricks?
I'd just like to point out there's no cost to the county.
Very good. Thank you. Any more debate? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 258.
Public Safety Emergency Management Ways and Means authorizing submission of application to National Grid.
This resolution authorizes an application to National Grid for reimbursement for updated lights and equipment at the correctional facility. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Hendricks. Any debate? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. 259.
Natural Resources, Ways and Means, some time and place for public hearing on sewer assessment.
This resolution sets a public hearing on the assessment roll of the Park County Sewer District for November 14th, 2012 at 7:15 p.m. May I have a motion? Mr. Hyde, second by Mr. Shaw. Any debate? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. 260.
Ways and Means appointing member to Ethics Board.
This resolution appoints John Pizek to the Herkimer County Ethics Board. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Smith and Mr. Wakeman. Any debate? Mr. Hartman?
Yes, I will be voting no on this resolution based on, well, primarily an incident that occurred a couple of years ago and how it was handled by Mr. Pizek in the committee. And I just question his judgment on that matter that I think is related to ethics.
Anyone else? Mrs. Rose?
Mr. Chairman, I understand that I know that Mr. Pizek is currently a member of the Herkimer County Industrial Development Agency, chairman of that agency, and I've been told that he is resigning from that effective December 31st. However, I do believe that there would be a conflict for Mr. Pizek to serve on the Ethics Board during the time that he holds the position on the IDA. Mr. Malone has apparently issued an opinion that Mr. Pizek would be able to recuse himself on the Ethics Board should anything come before it relative to the IDA. But when you have a three-member board rendering an advisory opinion, it's pretty hard to get consensus when there's two people should they have opposing views. I believe that there must be, among the Republican Party, other people who are not appointed by this legislature in any capacity. Mr. Pizek is appointed by this legislature to serve on the IDA. So if it's a position that he's held and has enjoyed, he may well feel grateful to the majority who have retained him there. If he hasn't, then his judgment could be called into question on the contrary. I do think that this is not a wise decision at all. I would also point out that the Democrats put forward a name, and it was in the correspondence that the minority leader asked to be read.
Point of order.
Point of order, that's correct.
Not germane to this.
It is for me.
No, it isn't.
Please allow me to
is
draw
not
the nexus,
germane.
Mr. Chairman. It is, Mr. Chairman, it is germane from my
It is
perspective.
not germane to this
This
resolution.
apparently means nothing to anyone. It is not germane. This is in regard to Mr. Pizek becoming a member of the Ethics Board. It has nothing to do with the Democratic candidate for the Ethics Board.
Mr. Chairman.
Stick to Mr. Pizek.
The process that your Republican majority has used to advance this candidate and to exclude for over a year the minority appointment is reprehensible, absolutely reprehensible. And to sit and suggest that the process that's been used to select this individual is relevant and the other is not germane is biased and parochial and partisan.
Mr. Malone has given his opinion. There is no conflict.
Well, then may I understand how you put
No.
an individual,
Just a
Mr.
minute.
Chairman?
You weren't addressed. You didn't address the chair. Mr. Russell had his hand up behind you. Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, I guess what bothers me is that we can have a member of the body, and it's okay, it's something that happened a few years ago, is going to be held against this person that I'm nominating. I mean, I guess it's okay, but if we're going to play those games, then should we hold Mr. Hartman in contempt because he hasn't filed his ethics papers at all? So, you know.
How is that, Mr. Chairman,
No.
point of order, how is that germane? He interrupted me. How is that
Yeah, no,
germane?
before I add it, you're questioning it now, it's out. Mr. Hart?
Yes, I failed to put it in that paperwork.
That's not germane to
I
this
keep
issue.
over
That's not
what-
germane, let's go. Let's
No,
stick with-
okay,
This is with Mr. Feedy, anyone else?
This is
I do.
germane.
Anyone else?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else? Mr. Shaw? Moves the motion. All those in favor of moving the motion? I need a second, I'm sorry. Second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor of moving the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
Resolution-
Roll call vote,
if-
please.
Too late. Passed. All those in favor of the original resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
Resolution passes. 261.
Public Safety Emergency Management Ways and Means accepting Empire State Government Grant Award.
This resolution accepts pass-through funding for Hurricane Irene Tropical Storm Lee Mitigation Grant Program and authorizes contract with the municipalities listed to implement flood mitigation control projects. May I have a motion? Mr. Hendrick, second by Mr. Ackerman and Mr. Hyde. Any debate? All those in favor, aye? Any opposed? Nay. Resolution passes. Number 262.
Ways and Means making reappointment of Personnel Officer.
This resolution reappoints Stephen R. Billings as Personnel Officer of the County of Herkimer for a 6-year term. May I have a motion? Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Smith, Weekly, and Hyde, and Acton. Any debate? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Congratulations, Mr. Billings.
Sorry, Vern.
Make them ready.
Congratulations, Mr. Billings. You don't say anything?
Very briefly, just thank you very much for the appointment. I certainly appreciate the support that this legislature has given me over my years with the county. I very much look forward to working with you over the next term. Thanks again.
On behalf of the legislature, Mr. Billings, thank you very much. You're a very valuable member of the team. All right, that concludes the resolutions. We'll now go to comments by legislator. Any comment? Mrs. Rose.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure how this legislative body would expect the minority to function when overwhelming bias has prevented us from exercising what is our right to do. And, you know, I question, we have an ethics committee and we have the majority leader who knows who has and who has not filed their ethics forms. I don't understand how we know those things. Is this, I'd like to understand, I have an ethics policy that Mr. Malone shared with me, and I'm very concerned right now. I would hate to leave here tonight wondering if there's any kind of a breach of confidentiality in that regard. I think it's important that we understand it. If there's a report issued, I'd like to be copied in on it.
I'm asking Mr. Malone, enlighten us on how the procedure works.
The ethics forms themselves, let me get it open here before I start talking.
If that was a question, you wouldn't find 9 plenty.
Actually, records of the ethics board are available for public inspection. Information set forth in the annual statement of financial disclosure, which excludes the categories of value, is subject to public inspection. The ones with the categories of value in it are confidential.
Does one file a freedom of, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Does one file a freedom of information to gain access to that information, or is it readily available to me as a legislator?
I'd have to examine the ethics law in its entirety to give you an opinion. I don't want to shoot from the hip on that.
I would like to know if that information is given out without a FOIA request, or if it's required. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have one more.
Mrs. Bruce.
Mr. Chairman, the minority did advance a name, and at the Ways and Means Committee, we didn't get a report from that committee, but at that committee meeting last week, there were only six members of the Ways and Means Committee present. And therefore, the Democratic nomination was not brought forward. There were 3 in favor and 3 against. And my minority leader, Mr. Brzezinski, requested to know why the Democratic name was not brought forward, and you graciously, Mr. Chairman, volunteered your opinion. And it was the case that the individual had offended some of you when he came forward to exercise his right as a citizen to speak about the jail and his disappointment and passion, actually, about the way the jail has been handled. Because this individual will have the jail right behind his house, will have construction and pollution. When he has a member, Mr. Chairman.
No, let me finish. Would you like to, this should go to committee.
It was a committee, and it refused to come out of committee.
And it needs to be continued at committee
Well,
level.
Mr. Chairman, it wasn't coming out of committee.
This is not, no.
It did not come out of committee, Mr. Chairman, but it was a committee action.
It was an item on the agenda added previously.
It was an action of the committee on Friday, and I feel that I...
Move on, it'll go to committee.
It was there. You didn't bring it out of committee. You refused to bring it out with your vote, Mr. Chairman.
It was not that committee. It should have gone to
It went to the Ways and Means.
It should go to Mrs. Manines.
When was that decided?
Is it Ways and Means? I'm sorry.
It was a 3-3 vote. So when an individual has passion because of an impact on their family, you, Mr. Chairman, had indicated your offense at what the person said, even though it happened perhaps 3 years ago. Mr. Chairman, we're told things that happened long ago, we should get over it. You know what? I think we do need to get over it. And I would encourage that hopefully when there's a Ways and Means Committee on Friday, Mr. Chairman, as a member of that committee, I'm not, I hope that will be brought forward and in the spirit of bipartisan nature and recognizing that each party does have a presence in this legislature, as much as it may chagrin some of you, and that it will come forward. I really hope that that will. I thank those that voted affirmatively, and I hope that those that voted no will reconsider. Thank you.
Mr. Hart.
And since the attorney has brought up the ethics law, the local law, I just wanted to clarify part of it. Some of the grounds for removal include the inability to discharge the powers or duties of office. Would that inability include having a number of potential conflicts? That's for removal. I guess it doesn't include appointment, but one could be removed from the board for inability to discharge the powers.
You know, this shouldn't become a question and answer period. It should be legislator comment. Just
I mean, the attorney, you asked the attorney to...
I know, but we're not going to continue this all night, okay? If you want to, I'm allowing you to do it. You just has to go through the committee. Let's remember, the students were told we have a committee process here. And that's what we need to do. Bring this to committee and discuss it, and then bring it to the floor should it need to be brought to the floor. Mr. Russell.
Is Mr. Hartman talking about ethics again?
I was, but
then it should go to the proper committee.
Correct. And I'm just going to remind you that it needs to go to committee. We're going to move on. Any other comments on any other topic? Mr.
Well, I just wondered if it should be noted that person that Mr. Brzezinski did nominate is still on that board. So.
Noted. Moving on.
Mr. Chairman, that might be...
Yes.
Perhaps that's something that could be explained to the students when an individual has been appointed and not reappointed and they're in holdover. Maybe that would be an excellent thing because we're talking about not appointing somebody and yet, as the majority leader just pointed out, the person still sits on the board. Perhaps that could be explained to the youth. That would be interesting.
You just explained it.
Oh, you're taking my opinion?
Well, no, that.
Thank you. It was correct, I don't even get the chair. You get-
And Ms. Malone concurs. Anyone else?
Oh, thank you. Here, start.
I have a motion to adjourn. Mr. Mann.
I move we adjourn to Wednesday, November 14th, 2012 at 7:30 p.m. with a public hearing at 7 p.m. on the Ag District number, oh, that's wrong.
That's right.
Oh, it is correct? Okay, Ag District number 6, 7:15 public hearing on Sewer District. No, we did that, Ag District.
Motion made second. Mr. Weekly. Or adjourn.